Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome back to the Daily List Report. I'm your host, as always, Randy Shiozaki. We had a wonderful event last week called Tomorrow Together with thousands of agents attend, and we were able to share our biggest, most exciting product ever. We call it Robin. We're going to talk a lot more about on this show. If you want information, if you're interested in it, we're going to put some links in, things like that. So don't worry, you're going to have access. But what we're doing today is part 2 of a breakout session that we had at that event, where we're talking all about social media strategies and success. And we had on that Ashley, Rod, Ryan, all regulars on this show, all members of the ListReports family, sharing those tips. And so today we're bringing to you part 2 of that. Of course, while you're here, please consider subscribing to our channel. Click the little bell to be notified of all future episodes. And without further ado, here's the team.
But now step 2, you've got all your engaging content, you have these ideas, you have your schedule. Now you have to build a following. Number 1 is you just want to engage with the people you have, the people who are following you now. And once you get that engagement, more people will see that and build off of that. So that's just comment. If someone comments on your post, like it and comment back every time. That is the simplest, easiest way to have engagement. I also like to, in your captions, ask questions. And again, not just those yes or no questions. Ask questions that require an answer that are really personal to people. That, do you want a home with a dog? That's a yes. But what kind of dog would you get if you lived in this home? Then that forces them to say, oh, I've always wanted a husky, but my home's too small. And then you could say, oh, well, if you want a big backyard and a bigger home so that you can have a bigger dog, I can help you figure that out. There you go. Bam. Conversation, personal note, you've related, you're authentic. And now all of a sudden it's not just a follower, it's a client, right? So interacting with your followers, using those hashtags. And I will say there are 2 different ways to use a hashtag. There's a way to build a brand hashtag, which is you want to find a hashtag that's not relatively well used. So if you want to track how many people are searching and using your hashtag, you can create one, like I would say Ashley's agents or something, whatever hashtag I want. Search it on Facebook, Instagram, and just double check that it has a relatively low number of posts, like under 100, under 500, if you can really help it. And then if you use that hashtag in every single post, you can see all that your posts are doing, all their activity, who's looking at them, who's sharing them, all of that. But then to be more searchable, you want to use hashtags in a different way. And that's where you want to use terms that people would search a lot. So that's realtor, real estate agent, home expert, homes for sale, new listing, like all these different hashtags. Anything that you might yourself type into Google if you were a buyer, or anything that people ask you about a lot, that's what you want to be using in your hashtags. So you can definitely play around on Instagram and Facebook and do your own research and just type in a couple, and you'll see it'll say 4.1 million results. There you go. That's a great number of results. If someone searches that, and then your posts are all coming to the top because you're posting with it consistently, that's how you get people who search and then come to your page. So you can build your own brand hashtag, and then you can also use the really highly searchable ones. So there are 2 different ways. That's how I would advise. And then the last way, I would say collaborate with other people. Like Rod, I see you tagging other agents all the time on your stuff. You're always like, oh, Katie sold a home. Oh, so-and-so was super successful. Hey, thanks for this. Those shout outs, when you shout out someone, they're going to want to shout you out back. We do this all the time on our YouTube show. When we have guests who come on, they're like, wait, I want to share the content. I was in the video. Can I share it on my channels? And we're like, of course, that's free advertising. And you can do the exact same thing. You don't have to have a YouTube channel, but it can be something as simple as giving a shout out and saying, hey, your marketing plan is amazing. I see all your content and it's great. And then they might shout you out back and be like, wow, that was super cool. You have really amazing, customer service. Obviously all your clients love you. And then people will see that information, and they'll see that engagement, and then they'll be like, wow, I can trust these people. They're relatable. I'm going to show you some examples here of people who I think do a really, really good job of engaging through questions and by responding to comments. So this one, I think this is such a pretty picture just up here on the screen, the blue porch on the side. And you can see in the comments, people agree with me. In love with the siding color that transitions right into the decking. And then the person can comment back and be like, me too. And then that bleeds into, hey, you should think about finding a house just like this. I saw another one that did this and it's on sale still. You can turn that into a conversation. But what I love is that this person, Julianne, she asked a question that wasn't just yes or no. She said, is having an outdoor seating area important to you? Which is yes or no. But if you were to remodel your patio, what changes would you make? And then message me to learn more about how to add value. So then you're thinking, what would I do with this patio? Oh my gosh, it has a porch swing. I would add a bunch of comfy chairs, or, I would replace the porch swing with a hammock. And people will comment that. And then you can engage with that. And then you can note that and come back and be like, oh my gosh, hey, I remember that you wanted a porch with, a really nice entertaining space. I saw this thing. Are you interested? That's a way to really engage and make it personal. And even if you don't necessarily have something to throw to them right away, they're going to remember that, because it's like when someone comments for something really nice on your post, you're just like, wow, that was so nice.
And one small thing, always be the last to take action on those things. You
Yes.
need to be either the person that likes it or responds to it, to every single person. As Ashley mentioned, they're not going to forget that stuff. It's the small things, and those things in accumulation are going to make a big impact downstream.
Absolutely. So that's a really great example of starting a conversation, right? Because you took it past the yes or no question, which those are great to start with. If you're having trouble coming up with captions, just start by asking questions. But you're going to see when people engage versus when they don't. It's when you somehow hit a nerve and you connect with them on some way, when they resonate with your content. And it's going to be hit or miss, right? Sometimes you're going to have a post that does really well, and sometimes you're not. And the biggest thing is social media is fickle and it's complicated. So don't get frustrated, because, I'm everyone dubs me social media expert here. And yet, they'll be like, Ashley, why didn't that post do well? I'm like, I don't know. People didn't like it. We worded something slightly differently and it didn't make sense to someone, so they didn't like it. It's just a trial and error type deal. And you're going to see results. You're going to improve over time, but it's not necessarily going to be a straight uptick. There's going to be some rises and lows, and then you'll see consistent improvement where you're like, okay, I'm getting more followers. It may not be 100 followers instantly, but over time, you're going to look back and be like, oh, wow, I really have grown and people are engaging more and I am feeling more confident about this. So that's my building a following step. Ryan,
Yeah,
did you have
nothing successful, generally happens overnight, right? Ashley is like, it's trial and error. You're going to see what works. You're going to see what doesn't, but also you're building up this catalog of content, right? You've built this catalog for consistency. If nothing else, even if you didn't get pure unadulterated engagement with a certain post, your spheres probably still saw it. At least you were up front and center that day, where if you hadn't taken the shot and put out that maybe less successful post, you wouldn't have been out there that day. That one person that maybe next week turns into your hot lead just might not have seen you and remembered you and called you when they were ready to engage with a real estate agent. So
exactly. And having that awareness and that presence, right? When you see someone posting constantly, they grow more familiar. And so you feel like you know them more, even if you don't actually know them on a personal level. So like you said, always getting that FaceTime is very valuable. There's a question that says, have I seen success using this on Instagram? And I'm hoping this just means like questions and kind of what we've been talking about. I absolutely think, especially Instagram is so visual. And so when you have a house or a home or anything that's visually pleasing, absolutely, I would say go on Instagram, post that on Instagram. It's another platform. I think through Instagram, you can also directly post to Facebook. So it's almost like you can do it in one step. Post to Instagram, check that little box that says post this to Facebook too. Boom, you've done both at the same time. But especially with things that are visually pleasing. And when you're targeting younger people, I would say my generation, I'm a cusper. I don't know. We're weird. I'm in the middle of like millennial and Gen Z, but my age group and below are almost exclusively on Instagram. We're not on Facebook. I have a Facebook, and everyone younger than me is like, ew, you have a Facebook? Apparently that's not cool anymore. So I would always say, if you're trying to target, and especially as these Gen Zers and millennials move into your target audience, and we're getting, I'm 23, I'm not ready to buy a home yet, but I will be in a few years. And if you start warming me up now on Instagram, I might just follow you, I might hang out for a year or two, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm always seeing their posts and they seem like they know what they're doing. They seem really nice. They'll comment when I engage with them. So I'm going to go and I'm going to message them about buying a home. And it might be more long-term. It might take a little longer, especially because we tend to be younger, the people who use Instagram on a more regular basis, but it's going to be worth it. So you got to play that long game, instant gratification. It's more prevalent, but doesn't necessarily work the same way when we talk about social media for business and for promoting yourself that way. So definitely use, I like the tip about Business Suite. That's super. Yes, I love that. That's a great idea. But yes, linking to Facebook, linking to Instagram, running your ads, the more exposure you have, the better, right? So I would never say, it can be intimidating, it can be scary, but I definitely have an Instagram story tutorial on our YouTube page, so you can go look at that. And then on our Instagram, if you go check us out on Instagram at ListReports Inc., we have a tutorial on how to post a shareable on Instagram. I think from when we were back in the office a while ago, it's me scrolling through my phone and showing you how to post. So if you need more resources than that, you can absolutely email me, ashley@listreports.com, with any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Or you can always reach out to support @listreports.com, and we'll help you there too. So
one more tip on that, Ashley, just for, obviously with our poll earlier, we saw that, people, at least in this chat, are on Facebook, first and foremost, with Instagram trailing actually kind of far behind.
Share that result again.
It's important to understand, if you want to give Instagram a try, like Ashley said, a lot of the younger folks are on Instagram instead of Facebook. But it's important to understand that Instagram has a couple limitations. When you're sharing a post, if you're trying to get a listing out in the world, Instagram actually makes it a little trickier to actually put a link on there that someone can just tap and navigate right to your content that you're trying to put out there. They do something called link in bio, which adds an extra step to the consumer's flow, where they see your post, but if you want them to go to where you're trying to send them, they actually have to then go click on your profile, see the link you might have left in your biography, and click that to go to that page. Whereas Facebook, obviously, as we know, is far simpler, where it's very, very simple to include a direct click through on a piece of content that consumer sees on your Facebook wall. So it's just important to understand that differentiation if you're looking to dive into Instagram and might get caught up there.
Definitely. Instagram, it's not necessarily built to be user-friendly, but it's worth it if you can persevere and do it. Rod, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one last little cherry on top is we never know as agents the moment that we pique someone's interest into looking into us. So one of the things though that Instagram does really well is if you're very consistently on there sharing your activities, including shepherding transactions from point of listing to sale, as well as other things, what you're doing is you're leaving a strong paper trail behind you. So if today one of you are interested in me, well, you could easily go look me up and you would look back at my Instagram and you say, oh, well, yeah, this person's doing stuff from many, many years ago, and they're very consistent. So it's a really powerful tool to make sure that you have a strong paper trail. If in the moment someone wants to look you up and they find it and they see your past activities, it'll immediately establish.
Perfect. Yeah, that's super. Yes, all of it. Thank you, Rod. I always love that when you give the agent perspective, because like I said, I'm more of a consumer. Ryan's the product guy. And so I love having you on here also just to give us that extra perspective that I think is so important, because obviously all of you watching, you know what he's talking about, but I may not have the firsthand experience. I've got the social media, but I think all three of us were the full package. So we've got it.
I said, with our powers combined.
With our superpowers combined. That's right, because we love superpowers here at ListReports. But okay, so action items for this, building your following. Like I said, respond to every single comment made on every single one of your social media posts. And if you want to take that a step further, like Rod said, be the last one. So if they keep commenting back, see how long you can keep it going. That every single time they re-engage, I'd count that as an absolute win. That is just, if someone comes back to your post or respond to a comment that you've made to their comment, that's just insane. You've pulled them back into your post because of your engagement. So always try to go for that. I think that's a great goal. You definitely want to leave thoughtful questions or comments on other people's posts, whether that's fellow agents, your LOs, different LOs that you work with, clients, even, just people you're like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. Or if you see someone's moving, obviously, I feel like you guys know to jump on those, but all of the things, just always comment. And the more personal you can be, the more that they're going to remember that when it comes time. I may not be ready to buy a home now, but if you're always commenting on my Instagram posts and being nice to me, when it comes time to buy a home, who do you think I'm going to look for? I'm either going to turn to Rod or I'm going to turn to the person commenting on all my Instagram stuff, because those are the people in front of me, right? I don't want to have to go find them. They found me. Easy. And then another challenge is always, I think, connect with new people. So today, if you want to, third action item, go out, connect with 3 new people, whether that's potential clients, potential peers, people, agents that you see their marketing plan and you're like, I want to do something more like that. Some, aesthetic inspiration. If you go on Instagram and you say, wow, their feed looks really pretty, I want to be like that. Whoever it is, just go out, connect, build your following that way. So now we're on to step 3, and I promise this is the last step, but you want to establish yourself as the expert. And the way that I recommend doing that is by sharing your personal experience, because like we said, that builds can I speak? No, authenticity, but it also builds credibility, right? If you say, hey, I live in this area and I love, I hear what Rod, you say this all the time. You're like, I live in Huntington Beach and I love it, and we'll talk about it. And I'm like, wow, that sounds so cool. Like, I want to live there. Well, there you go. That's half the battle, right? Is, oh, I want to live there and I don't. So who am I going to talk to about it? Well, Rod, you love living there and you're going to tell me all the cool things about it. And then when I'm finally like, okay, I think I want to move to Huntington Beach, who am I going to ask about it? I'm going to ask Rod, and he's going to get me into Huntington Beach, and he's going to know. And I'm going to trust him because he already lives there. He already knows all the things, and he knows everything I want, right? If I'm like, oh, well, you've talked about, I want to be close to the beach, but I also want to be close to downtown, but I don't want too much noise. Like, he's going to know because he lives there. So sharing your
Rod was the mayor of Huntington Beach, but
oh yeah, that's right. That
he's
was one of
passionate about where he lives, which is where you, as an area expert, should also, right? You should be passionate about where you live because you're going to listen to the advice of someone who's passionate about the area you are considering living in, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's right. And just one other thing to tie into all this, just to get, for all the agents here, your juices flowing, is you don't need to only be the expert of the city's like real estate. Show yourself, show your favorite businesses, show your favorite restaurant, check into those things, do a little recording, show your food from there, show your secret spots, show the events that you're attending over there. Those types of things are going to show that you're not just kind of spitting out real estate stuff just to do it. It's that you intimately know the community as an expert, and that credibility is going to take you further as if you were just an agent who otherwise didn't have that expertise.
Exactly. And that can also help you with exposure. Like if you're hashtagging correctly and you're doing that, and then people who are new to the area are looking and they're like, oh, like fun things to do in Huntington Beach, and your name comes up, and then they follow you because you also, there's some real estate stuff, but you also post just area information. Then when it does come time for them to move or buy a house, like it's just about that exposure and about putting yourself forward so that they know who to go to when it's time for them to, when they decide that they want to move. And then at the same time, doing that is also going to build authenticity and that credibility. It's going to say, okay, you know what you're talking about because you live there. And also you're not a robot. You're not, an image on a flyer or on Zillow that I see, right? Like you're a person and you have a family and you go to the beach on Sundays, just like I go to the beach on Saturday or whatever it is. I go hiking with my family and oh my gosh, you go hiking. It's just relatable. And we like to connect with people and with humans instead of robots or picture perfect Instagram profiles, right? When you can't, influencers are amazing, but when you can't really connect with them, you aspire to that life, but you're like, that's never going to be me. So you're never going to try. Whereas if you look at you and you say, wow, this person does a lot of things that I want to do, and they can help me do that. You want to be the guide to help them get there and be that I think I just said it, guide to help them get to that step. So
they're just like,
what were you saying? Sorry.
I said real estate agents. They're just like us.
Yes, they're just like us, but you guys are superheroes about it, which is just amazing, right? Like, I don't know half the stuff I need to know, and I don't have to. I'm going to trust Rod, or I'm going to trust you, and it's going to be fine. I'm in good hands, right? So this is just a great example. Live Where You Vacation Florida. First of all, that's an amazing handle, right? Because but I know exactly what her account's about. Live where you vacation. I think that's a great tagline, right? So you're like, okay, I already know she lives in Florida. She treats it like a vacation. Every day is relaxing and amazing. And then she posts pictures. She posts pictures about her family, about the beach, pretty sunsets. She has like, thank you from my family to you, from your business and referrals, all of that. She posts, how Florida are you, right? Like these things. So have you seen an alligator? Have you drank at a tiki bar? Like that's just so relatable and fun. It doesn't have to be, like we said, about real estate all the time. It can just be kind of about having fun in your area and then looking and being like, oh, that looks fun. I think one of our employees, Erin, our VP of customer success, she follows this woman. She's always talking to me about it. She's like, oh, I just want to move to Florida because her posts look amazing. And that's what you want people to be saying about it, right? You want people to be saying, oh, I want to move there because this is so cool, right? So that's my advice for that. We're going to keep going. And so here are your action items.
Actually, can you go back one slide? I want to highlight just one thing. Can you move your mouse cursor on the link in the profile where it says livewhereyouvacation.net?
Yes.
Guys, everybody here right now, I want you, as a reminder, or for those of you that don't know, you're allowed to have one link in your Instagram profile. It is going to be trafficked. Your profile gets visited whether you know it or not. So you need to ask yourself, what's the most valuable link I can share in my profile? I'm going to just spit off some ideas. Well, you you saw your homes there? Do you have a listing right now that you want anybody that visits your profile to look at? You should probably be pointing an arrow at that. Do you have a landing page website that maybe lets people find out their home values? If you're signing up for Robin, do you want people to use your Robin app that are visiting your profile? Take advantage of that link space. Put one link in your profile, put the direct call to action right above it, pointing down at it to make them interact with that. That's
definitely. And I've actually seen, and I haven't done any research on the disclaimer, but I've seen a lot of people using a feature called Linktree. And what that does is it's one link. And then when you click on it, it takes you to all these boxes that are different links. So if you're having trouble condensing it all onto a website or something, try looking that up. Look up Linktree. And then when you click on that in your Instagram bio, it's going to say like my website, my YouTube. Yeah, there we go. See, awesome and free. Love that, Sarah. So when you do that, you know, you click and you say, okay, I'm going to go to my website, or you can go to my YouTube page or my Facebook, and you can put all of those. And I feel like it's much easier to use sometimes than trying to build a website where you want it to look really professional and amazing. And it takes a lot of time to do that. So website, I'd say, is number one. But if you're kind of like, that's intimidating and I don't know if I could do that, Linktree is a great kind of hack to be able to do it anyway. But yes, I love that, Rod. And it's true. You want to be really careful with what you put there, because when people click on it, you want it to be, you know, something engaging that hooks them in and keeps them there, right? You don't want them to click and then exit and leave. So here are your action items, right? So 3 things to get started. Just start by being relatable. That means highlighting highlights, but also pain points, right? If you just bought a home and you're like, oh, this was so annoying, right? I did this and this, I don't know. I haven't bought a home, so I'm sorry. I can't provide actual examples, but Rod probably could. Ryan probably could. But when you do this, don't just share the highs, right? You can also be vulnerable and kind of share things. Obviously, you still want to put a positive spin or, you know, put your own personality into it. But when you're vulnerable with people and you kind of say, oh, this didn't go so well for me, and then they're allowed to support you, that's also something that can build connection, right? You don't always have to be happy-go-lucky. And I think a lot of Instagram and a lot of social media lately has been very, you know, influencer living the high life. You present your best self on Instagram, but you can also present your best self while also being authentic and kind of saying, hey, this week wasn't a win for me, but you know what? I'm going to go get an ice cream at my favorite local ice cream place. And this is great. And then you're plugging a local business. They might plug you back. Who knows? And you can always use it to your own advantage, but in a way that I think is morally and authentically good. So there's that. So you're going to emphasize also, while doing that, you want to emphasize how your expertise will make your clients' lives easier. And I think that's the key to it, right? You don't just want to be like, oh man, I just bought a home and it sucked. Because no one cares. Like, not that no one cares. That's being vulnerable in a way. But what I want you to say is, hey, I bought a home recently and I had kind of a frustrating experience. Did you have that as well? Guess what? I'm actually a real estate agent, and when you work with me, I'm gonna make sure that never happens to you because I get it. That was awful. And people are gonna be like, okay, cool. So you know how frustrating it is, and you're gonna make sure that I don't have to deal with that because you're an awesome superhero of an agent, and you're gonna take all my problems away from me. So you want to build credibility and emphasize how your highs and lows, both of them, not just your highs, not just your wins, but your lows too, are still making you a better guide for them and teaching you lessons that then they won't have to learn, right? I love that when I learn lessons from other people. I'm like, oh, I never have to make that mistake because they did it for me. Sorry, but like, good for me, right? So you want to be that person who can showcase that to them. Then helpful tips, right? That's just always, you know, whether it's an industry secret or just simply like a question that every single client you work with asks you. You may think, well, every single person asked me this, so people probably already know. But that, you know, I feel like it's kind of backwards. You kind of are like, oh, this is so simple, I don't want to post about it. But if everyone's asking you, sorry, I don't know that fully made sense. I'm losing my train of thought. But if you find yourself repeating something a lot of people can probably benefit from that knowledge, right? And so you want to post that, even if it seems kind of simple, or, you know, you're like, well, people have probably posted about that. Nothing's too simple, right? If someone is asking you the question, it's like what teachers used to say, right? My teachers always used to say, if one person has the question, like 10 other people have it and are just too afraid to ask. So definitely be the person who answers the question before anyone has to ask. And then they're going to turn to you and be like, oh, great, I didn't even have to ask the embarrassing question. They already answered it for me. So that's just a great way when you're sharing pro tips. Think about, what questions do I need to answer that I get all the time that people might not really want to reach out to a stranger and ask, or reach out on Instagram and blast to everyone that they don't actually know what they're doing, right? Answer them for them. So then they're just like, oh, they're the expert. I'll go to them whenever I have questions in the future. And then lastly, Rod, this was your tip, so I'm going to let you share this one. Do you know this one?
Post an action shot. So guys, what is your moment of the day that you want people to see? Like sometimes it's going to be real estate, sometimes it's not, right? That's some of the stuff that we're talking about. But don't forget to show what is happening right now in a moment. Are you writing up any offers today? Well, jot that down. Are you giving someone their keys at the point of purchase? Are you literally about to be in front of the house for the first time post close? Are you capturing that moment? So make sure that you are taking the 5 seconds to challenge yourself to find out what is my action shot of the day that I want to share with people, and to make sure that it's leaving that solid paper trail and experience for all the things downstream.
Absolutely. And I love that because this is very personal and a little bit of a tangent, but bear with me. My friends and I used to use this app called 1 Second a Day. And what you would do is you'd take a video 1 second every single day. And then at the end of the year, it compiles it into one video that's like, however many seconds long, 256 seconds long. And it plays it all. And what I loved about it is it really captured, big moments, small moments. We had like the day we graduated, but then we also had like us sipping tea next, under blankets. And it was just a nice memory. So if that helps you phrase it, think I need to capture 1 second every day, photo, video, however you want to do that, and take Rod's action shot idea and post your 1 second action shot every day. And again, it does like you can do, okay, one action shot every week or whatever it is, however you feel like you want to vary your content and schedule that out. But I think it's a great mindset to get into, Rod, to say every day there's one thing that's worth sharing, that's worth, turning into an opportunity. And so that's a really great way of just taking your action shot. And I think that's a great positive mindset too, right? Every day you get an action shot of a positive moment every day, or a lesson learned every day, or whatever it is.
If you get creative with it, you can always tie it, even if it's not directly related in any way to real estate, you can probably find a way, if you get creative enough, to tie it back to how you as an agent can help somebody achieve their dreams. Whether it's like my kid took their first steps, I'm a person, I have a family, I'm relatable. Let me help you achieve your family's dreams. Things of that nature. It can be anything. Just, human, tie it back to your business, how you can be helpful.
Yes. Humanity, authenticity, consistency. That's what we're driving home here. All of that. So that's the 3 steps. And I know we packed like 3 mini steps into each step, and that was a lot. But if you want this presentation, I'm sure we can share it out. I can actually, if maybe Rod or Ryan, if either of you will grab the link and maybe make it viewable and then share it here. That way people can look back on it, because I know we have those action shots for you. And then that's it. You're going to be a social media superhero in absolutely no time. And we're here to help you make that happen. So next steps, I would say, I know I've given you a lot of action items. So just in general, next steps, subscribe to our daily list report channel. Like I said, that's where we're going to provide you lots of content. We listen to your feedback. We've had multiple people be like, hey, can you do a video on YouTube ads? I know nothing about them. We're like, sure, we'll figure it out and we'll learn it for you, so you don't have to. And then we'll teach you how to do it. So we've done ads, we do social media, we have tech tips with, tech and gear you want to look out for, industry experts. We definitely have people from realtor.com come on every once in a while. We have lots of people. So a wealth of knowledge at your fingertips happens every day. And I think, Rod, you said you always watch it while you drink your morning coffee. So it's perfect.
Yeah. Just to challenge everybody that's watching this. I mean, I'll throw out a few really random things really quick. Do you know what a gimbal is? Do you know about your phone's wide angle lens capability? Do you know about how did you learn about something that you didn't know about ListReports today, period? All of these things get covered throughout these videos. So I would say if 4 out of 5 of you at a minimum, probably 99%, are grabbing a cup of coffee in the morning, make this be your watch while you're sipping that cup of coffee.
Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed that. If you missed part 1, it's linked below. Go back and check that out. These are really practical tips, tricks, things that you can do today, right now, to make your social media even better. So until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy, and we'll see you soon. Bye.